Want to achieve your dream goal? Listen to the tips from the guy who made it happen to himself. I dropped 70 pounds going from a 4X to a 1X in 4 years. I went from 10K to 6 figures without a college degree. You too can get the goals you set. It's time to live your best life now. I'm your host, Tony Woodall, and welcome to Goal Getting Podcast. Hello, goal getters, and welcome to Goal Getting Podcast. I'm so glad you came back to see us and listen to our show this day, and I want to thank you again immensely for listening to our podcast. You have a great list of podcasts out there that you can listen to. You've selected ours to listen to, and I do appreciate it. Today's an episode where I put together a story that is a retelling of a story that we all probably heard as a child, The Little Engine That Could. And one of the guests on Goal Getting Podcast, Aaron Walker, has a quote that he lives by, and I do the quote of the day and have done his quote that he lives by, one that he did that his mother, Nanny Lou, used to tell him all the time, and he was raised with this quote. And when I was having Aaron on our show and was talking with him and he told us this quote, it just kind of hit hard to me, because I remember these stories that I used to listen to and that I used to read to my kids when they were young, The Little Engine That Could. Well, when I heard that quote, I loved it, and a few days later, I had to prepare a speech for my Toastmasters club. Most of you know I've been in Toastmasters, and I've recorded some of my episodes here have been recorded Toastmasters speeches that I've done. So I was working on a speech that I needed to do for the advanced manual as I'm working on my Advanced Communicator designation in Toastmasters. And the manual that I was using and working on was the storytelling manual. Well, my project required me to rewrite and tell another story, rewrite something that was a popular story before, like Aesop's Fables or something along that line. Well, Aaron Walker's quote gave me an idea to retell the Little Engine That Could story. As I said, I had heard that story when I was young, and I'm sure you probably have too, and it helped mold me into someone that was always open to trying new things, volunteering to help others, and to be the best that I could be. So I rewrote the story for my Toastmasters speech. Unfortunately, I didn't videotape or video record that speech. We don't use tape anymore. It's all digital, but I didn't video that, or I didn't record that speech on video. I did record it a few days before the speech to practice it on audio, and I'm going to include the audio recording. And I went ahead and edited it, added some train sound effects to make it sound better, some things that I'm kind of experimenting. I don't know that it's a serial podcast or anything like that, but, I wanted to add some audio effects to it, some sound effects for trains, train signals and things like that, just train sounds along with it, because it is a story about trains and it is an audio story that I'm telling. So I wanted to make it a little more effective. So I've added that, and I'd like to thank, the people at Sound Bible and some of the people who've recorded some of the sounds for this. Without them, they're on our show notes page. If you go to goalgettingpodcast.com/engine, ENGINE, I have put the attribution for the audio clips that I used on my show notes page. And again, I got those clips off of soundbible.com. If you like sound effects, they have some great ones, and most of them are free with some attribution. So that's what I'm doing now. Now, I hope you like this story, and I think it's good enough to share with your kids. And I remember reading stories to my girls, like I was saying, and I used to make up stories for them, and maybe I'll put some of those stories out on audio as well, if I can remember what I thought up, because most of them, like I said, they were, on the cuff, thought up stories that I did. But this one is a new story, a retelling of an old story, The Little Engine That Could. And I also, just for your benefit, if you were interested, I have a link to a PDF of the story that you can get and download so that you can read it for your kids if you'd like to. If you're interested in getting the audio recording, of course, you can always replay the podcast for your children at bedtime. I'll be happy to, advise you that that's a good thing that you could do every night if you want to, but you could do that, and or read to your kids. I think it's very important to read to your children, especially when they're young. It helps them learn. It helps them learn not only, how to speak and how to read, but it also helps them understand life in general. And, it's just a good thing to read to your children. If you don't do it, I encourage you to do that. But I do have a link on our show notes page at goalgettingpodcast.com/engine that you can go out and download a PDF of the story. Now, I do encourage using audiobooks. I am an audiobook listener. I love audiobooks, and if you like audiobooks, you can go out to, I've got a website, audible.com is, offering listeners of Goal Getting Podcast a 30-day free trial and a free download of an audiobook of your choice at goalgettingbook.com. That's goalgettingbook.com. You can get a 30-day free trial of their services plus your free audiobook download at goalgettingbook.com. I just wanted to mention that since we are talking about reading, and also you're going to be listening to my story, which isn't on audiobooks yet. Maybe one day, but, go out and listen to the audio of the story here in just a second, and then, go out and get your own audiobook that you can listen to on your own while you're out driving, working out, or whatever, when you're not listening to the podcast of Goal Getting Podcast. Thank you so much for coming and listening today. I'm going to turn this over to the story, and I do hope you enjoy it. Please come visit us on the show notes page to download your PDF copy of the story. And also, if you wouldn't mind, let me know what you think of it. In the comments section, give me some idea, some feedback of what you think of the story. I would love to hear from you on this. And, I'm, like I said, it was something I did for Toastmasters speech, but, I think it's something that all kids need to know, that, if they have a good positive attitude, if they believe they can do something, they can. Like Napoleon Hill says, whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. And if you believe you can, you can. And the little engine that could believed he could, and he did. So the title of the story is The Little Engine That Did. Thank you, and have a great day.
The town of Valley View was saddened by the earthquake that had devastated the towns on the other side of the mountain. The townspeople had filled a long train with medical supplies, food, and water. The trains were long and heavy, as the town had been very generous. The job now was to get the supplies to the towns on the other side of the mountain as quickly as possible, as news reports were talking about the town suffering greatly. Many people were seriously injured and desperate for medical supplies. Many children were frightened and needed food and water, as the earthquake had leveled most of the town. Captain Caboose started asking engines that passed if they would take them up the mountain to get to the other side. The first engine he asked was the biggest, most powerful engine he had ever seen. Maximus was built for speed and carrying passengers down the valley line to towns far down the valley. Maximus looked at Captain Caboose and said, old man, I was built for speed and serving the people, not freight cars. Why, what would people think of me if I didn't make it up that hill? Right now I glide across the tracks like a gazelle. I'm not a pack mule. And Maximus tooted his silver horn and zipped down the tracks as fast as he could. Captain Caboose saw Jack, a new locomotive with a sharp paint job and big shiny wheels. Hey, son, can you help us up over the mountain to deliver these supplies to the other side? Jack looked at him and said, Get out, man. You must be kidding. That's too much work, man. I ain't going up that darn hill for nothing. Heck, those people ain't done anything for me. And what about the government, man? I don't see them here packing no cars or bringing no new cars or nothing. It ain't my job, man. Captain Caboose just sighed. The people were waiting and needed supplies. Captain Caboose asked Gretchen, a fine engine that had been around for a while. Gretchen gasped, "Honey, I'm too old to start doing something new, like climbing new mountains. I'll be happy to take you nice and slow around the mountain, but I'm not going up that hill." "But," Captain Caboose said, "that will take a week to go around the mountains. The people can't wait a week. They're desperate." "Well, Captain," said Gretchen, "I'm just not young enough to try something new. I've never been up the mountain. I don't want to risk it, and what if I don't make it?" As Captain Caboose was getting more frustrated with the engines, Sam, a small yard engine, came along as usual, moving cars around the yard and keeping things moving. Sam always volunteered around the yard to help. He wasn't trained to make long runs or to haul heavy loads, but he had a great attitude and loved to help people. Captain Caboose called Sam, "Son, can you help us? We're trying to get this train up over the mountain, get these cars full of water, food, and medical supplies to the towns on the other side. They were hit by the earthquake, are in desperate need of what we have." Sam looked up, down at the train cars and said, "Wow, I've never hauled a load like that, and I've never hauled anything up a mountain before." "Son," Captain Caboose asked, "do you think you can get us over that mountain?" Sam looked up at the mountain and said, "I think I can." So Captain Caboose called up ahead and told them Sam was going to take them up the mountain. Sam rushed to the front of the train, hooked up, and started huffing and puffing as he started to move the cars down the valley toward the mountain. Sam was making a good run down the valley and then started up the mountain. Up and up he went. The grade started getting steeper and steeper, and Sam started chugging and huffing steam out of the smokestack. He started going slower as he got farther up the steep grade. The rest of the cars were getting worried, and Captain Caboose radioed Sam and asked, "Sam, are you sure you're going to make it, son?" Sam bit down hard on the track and said to himself, "I think I can." That made him feel good, so he kept saying it over and over again. "I think I can, I think I can, I think I can, and I think I can," and he just kept on going. Finally, after a while, Sam crested the top of the hill and started down. Down was much easier, and Sam blew a sigh of relief on his whistle, "Woo-hoo!" and started rolling down the hill. "I thought I could, I thought I could, I thought I could," he said over and over as he went down. Sam delivered the train cars to the yard on the other side of the mountain. The supplies were delivered in time to help many people. Captain Caboose radioed Sam and said, "Thank you, son. Thank you for your help and for being there to help this community." Sam smiled a big smile, knowing that he had accomplished a goal he set. It wasn't what he was trained to do, but by taking action, he was able to do more than he or anyone else expected. Sam remembered a quote that he had seen on the wall of the engineer Aaron's office that said, "Can't, never could. Could, did it all."
Hey, goal getters, I hope you enjoyed the story, The Little Engine That Did. As I mentioned it earlier in the intro to the story, I did provide a link to a PDF that you can download for reading to your children of The Little Engine That Did. It's a PDF. It's on the show notes page at goalgettingpodcast.com/engine, ENGINE. That you can click and, give me your email address, and I will send you a copy of that in your email so that you can read it to your children. And again, I do hope you read to your children. I loved reading to my kids, and I miss that tremendously. Since they're all grown and out of the house, and one day maybe I'll have grandkids and do that for them. I want to also again mention that Audiobooks has given, or audible.com has given us, the option for listeners of Goal Getting Podcast to download a free audiobook and get 30 days free trial of their service so that you can see what it's like. And I highly recommend it. You can go to goalgettingbook.com to get your copy of an audiobook. There's over 180,000 copies out there. If you listen to some of our episodes, a lot of those books that our guests recommend are on audiobook. So you can check out one of those or check out one of your own copies that you would like to get of an audiobook. And, you can do that at goalgettingbook.com. Again, that's a 30-day free trial and an audiobook of your choice. But I do appreciate you listening to Goal Getting Podcast. This story, like I said, was something I did for a Toastmasters project. I loved, doing it. I, like telling stories. That's why I'm working on the storytelling manual. And I really enjoy reading to children and to my children, especially when they were younger. So do that. That's what this is about. It's about having that belief that anything that you want, you can do, having that attitude that, if I think I can, and going out and doing it. If you're going to go out and do something, you have to go out and do it wholeheartedly with the belief that you can do it. Otherwise, why try? So go out and make today a great day. And I know you can do that because I'm going to. And I just really enjoy you being a listener on our show. Come back next week. Listen to our goal getting quote of the day. We do that as a daily motivational, inspirational quotes, and come back and listen to on Wednesdays to some of our guests. We've got some great ones coming up. And in the near future, we're going to be talking about goal getting again. We're going to get our goals, and we want you to listen to, the steps that we're going to be taking. Episode 34, 35, and 36 of the show had some great information. I think you need to go back and listen to that before the end of the year to make sure that you understand that setting goals is important throughout the year, not just the end of the year or the beginning of the year. So you want to go out and really pay attention to that, where we talk about the subconscious mind, how that is affected, how it can keep your goals from being effective, and how you can change your subconscious mind to be a positive goal-getting machine. We also talk about, the mental bank process, which is part of our goal achievement success system that we put together to give you the ability to overcome those limiting beliefs and to do the things that you want to be so that you can be the engine that did, not just the little engine that could. So go out and make today a great day. Thank you for listening. This is Tony Woodall with Goal Getting Podcast. We look forward to seeing you back next time.